So today we are making a video on the Archman Linux. So here is the boot menu. Let me quickly boot it on the medium default. So I'm running it on a virtual machine, which is a VMware with 60 GB of hard disk, 8 GB of RAM, and my CPU is i5 1240p. So before the boot up, I'm going to mention the specific thing. There will be a lot of, not a lot, there will be some mistakes or misspeaking throughout the video because I'm going to keep the video as raw as possible. So you should be seeing all the proper changes. So if that's the case, you should be seeing some misspeakings and misspellings also. So try to ignore that and you should be getting all the information in the video. So usually it should be taking like 2 or 3 minutes to load up the desktop layout in my PC. So this is a live boot, so it should be like a 2 or 3 minutes. So I already made a video of a Novara project 40 with a KDE Plasma desktop environment. So if you want to check that out, the video is already available in my channel. So watch that video after watching this video. So let me stop talking and I'm going to mention how much of time it consumes to load up the desktop layout. I'm going to mention that timing in a few seconds. I'm going to trim this booting process because it should take like 3 minutes. So I'm not going to keep the 3 minutes booting process. So I'm going to trim that part. So I think the desktop should be visible in a few minutes. So there is no use to trim also because the mouse pointer, as you can see, is already visible on the screen. So it's almost like 2 minutes I think to load up the desktop layout. So we should be seeing the Archman Linux right now. So the version is a 2024 July edition. So the ISO file is already available in the website. And I downloaded it from the SourceForge website. So I'm going to show you all the process. So there is no need to booting process because I didn't start talking throughout the booting process. So, and it was also quick, so it took just 2 minutes to load up the desktop layout right in front of you. So let's see the Calamares installer. So I'm not going to install right now because I need to see all the changes first. Let me close it. Let me change the display resolution. So let's open the application menu, settings, let's find the display, or you can just type it here, display. My monitor is 1920 into 1080. Let's see the 1920 into 1080 with a 16:9 ratio. Let's apply. Keep this configuration. So let's first open the system monitor or the task manager to see how much of resources it's consuming. So CPU is almost under 30%. Process running right now are 307, which is 307. Memory is almost 1.1 GB of 8 GB of RAM. So these are all the process running right now, and we already have the package manager updates available right here. Let's click on details. So here is the system resources. Let's check the about. Here is the version. So I'm going to keep the task manager in the right side corner throughout the video so you can see all the changes. So in the live boot, it's 1.1 GB or 1 GB of RAM. It's consuming 1 GB of RAM. So when you install this on the hard disk or the virtual disk, the RAM should be like a 700 MB, 800 MB. So you don't see a major RAM difference when you install it on the hard disk or a virtual disk, or when you run it on the virtual RAM, or right now it's running on the RAM because I am running it in a live boot. So it's almost a 1.1 GB. So when you install it on the hard disk or a virtual disk, it should be like a 300 MB maximum difference. So you don't see a major difference like a 1 GB or something like that. It should be consuming just like a 300-400 MB of difference. So let's open the internet browser and let's check so the application menu is not properly working. So let's check the internet from the Firefox. So the Firefox should take like a 20 seconds to load up. Usually it's going to consume that much of time in my PC. It should be more or less in your PC. So I already mentioned every specs of my CPU and the RAM. So I'm using 8 GB of RAM and a CPU of i5 1240p. So right now I can't even move the browser. So let's try to move the browser and let's try to make it bigger so you can see properly. So this mouse pointers is very hard in some of the desktop environment, usually KDE Plasma, but in this case Xfce is also torturing me to, I can't even properly move this. So let me keep it like that and let's try about support. Let's type in about support, your information. So here is some of the browser and distro information. The version you get of 1.8 of a Firefox web browser, and here is the build ID, Arch Linux. So here is the kernel. So you can just pause the video and read everything on your own, or you can change the playback speed to see everything in a slow-mo. So these are some of the important information. So you can just pause the video and read everything. So WebGL2 driver renderer, and some of the information, window protocol, desktop environment. So there are some important information. You can just pause the video for that. So let's go to the website, which is Archman GNU Linux. They already gave the bookmark. So if you don't have the bookmark, because if you're downloading before, so you need to try to type in this URL to get to their website, which is archman.org in your search engine or the search bar. You should be getting the official website. So before that, let's try to change the language so we can read everything. So I'm going to make it bigger, so it's pretty much small right now. So I tried to translate the language, but we didn't have anything. I think this is Mexican. It's English, but I can't even try to change it. Let's try the German. Nothing. So it's trying to translate. So it's in German. So let's try to change it in the English. So here is the information of the Archman Linux. You can get all the information here. So I don't think there is a release notes or anything like that. So we need to see every applications and every information on our own. So I'm going to give the description under the video of all the changes. So you don't need to worry about that. So the last news was on the April. So right now there is no release notes or anything like that. So I'm going to provide everything in my description, so you don't need to have to worry about that. So here are some of the information. So let's click on the download. So it will take directly to the SourceForge website. So here is the version 2024-01. You get the Xfce desktop environment, and they already have 14 downloads. So here is the ISO file. The file is around like a 2.7 GB. Here are some of the information. Let's check the reviews. Let's check the support, discussion. So we have nothing in all those things. Archman Linux, it will take to the website. So we got all the information in the browser. So let me close the browser. Let me open the terminal. Before that, let's check about Xfce. So here is the Xfce version 4.18. GTK version is 3.24.43. The kernel you get is 6.9.9. Here is my hardware specs. About. You can customize from here. Let me close it. Let's try to open the terminal. Terminal emulator. Let's try to make it bigger so we can see all the changes. and we have again issue with the pointers. So this is the issue. So somehow it automatically opened. Nice. Let's check the about. Here is the terminal version. Let me type in INXI. We need to wait for a few seconds. I hope you are properly seeing. So CPU, kernel, storage. I'm not going to read everything, just pause the video and read everything because I don't want to make a video lengthy. INXI-small b. So these are all the distro information. Just pause the video and you should be seeing all the changes from the previous version, from the newer version. INXI-F. INXI-G. We need to wait for a few seconds. cat /etc/issue neofetch INXI-SV8. So you got all the distro information right in front of you. Just pause the video and read everything. So these are all the information. Let me go up and show you everything. So there is an issue with my mouse, so that's the reason. So I tried the wireless and I choose the wired one, so I still have the issues. So it's not from the distro, it's from my mouse. So try to ignore those things and just read everything. So it accidentally opened the task manager. So here is some of the information. Just pause the video and read everything. So here are all the repositories. Lot of repositories. Process info. So we pretty much got every information. We got all the information. Let me close it now. So let's go with the installation now. Let's find the installer. It should be in the system, I guess. Here we have the Calamares installer. So right now I'm not going to install because I need to make another video. So I'm just going to show you the installation process. So this process is just for a beginner. So if you're a pro user, you just need to skip this part. So about Calamares version, choose your language, click on next, choose your keyboard. So I skipped the location. Let me go back and choose the location. I'm using a VPN, so you should be seeing some different locations. So region, you can choose the drop down menu or you can just point out on the location. And the system's language will set to be English. Locale will be set to English India. So let's try to change things. The numbers and date locales will be set to American English, United States. It's clearly up to you to customize things according to your wish. So if everything is good, click on next. And here you should be seeing a keyboard model. I'm choosing the Dell. You should be seeing all those languages for the keyboard. If you want, you can switch the keyboard. You can try to test it. Test the keyboard if you want. Let me make it bigger so you can see properly. Type here to test your keyboard. You can switch the keyboard. Click on next. Here you should be seeing just the two options, which is erase disk and manual partitioning. So here you should be seeing your hard disk. If you have a virtual disk, you can choose a virtual disk. It's always a good option to first writing the live boot or the virtual disk when you try to install. So in the installation, you need to have a virtual disk. By using the virtual machine, you should be getting the virtual disk. So you need to watch tutorials how to run it on the virtual machine. You already know how to install it on the virtual disk. So if you are satisfied, then go with the installation for your main PC or work PC. So this is a stable ISO file. So if you don't know how to install on the virtual disk, you need to watch tutorials for that. So when you try to install, if you don't know how to install it on the main disk or a hard disk, so basically if you're a newcomer from Windows or Mac OS and you don't know how to install the Linux distro on the virtual disk or a main disk, you need to watch tutorials on the YouTube, like a 5 to 6 videos, and you should be getting an idea how to install. So I'm going to show the basic process. I'm not going to install. So erase disk is the meaning that it's going to delete the current operating system, whatever the hard disk you choose. So if you have any operating system in that hard disk, it should be erased and it's going to install the Archman Linux. So if you don't have any operating system, you just have a files, then it's going to erase everything which is available in that hard disk. So that's the meaning of erase disk, and here are the options. And the manual partitioning is the you need to create a partition like dual partitioning. If you have an operating system, you need to create another partitions for the dual boot options. So you should be having a dual operating systems and you need to choose the manual partitioning. And you should be having dual operating system in the boot menu, so you can choose whatever the options or the whatever operating system you want to boot it in. So that's the manual partitioning option. So let's get back to the erase disk. You should be seeing encrypt system like here. When you check this button, you should be seeing boxes. So you need to provide the password, which should be same in both the boxes. If you don't want, you can just uncheck that. And here you need to see a more bootloader location. So if you want, you can keep that default one, or else you can go with do not install a bootloader location. You can do that later if you want. So after choosing everything, click on next. And here you should be seeing the username, password, and all those things. You need to provide all those things. For the sake of the video, I'm choosing some random things. 9to5 Linux. Unboxing for the what name do you want to use to log in? What is your name? You don't need to provide your actual name. You can provide anything you want. So you need to remember all those things, whatever you typed in here. For the password, I'm choosing the simple password. 12345. 12345. So if everything is going good, you should be seeing a tick mark right here. If anything is wrong, you should be seeing a wrong symbol and X symbol. Your password did not match. Let me type in. So log in automatically without asking for the password. If you want, you can do that. Use the same password for the administrator account, or else you can choose the same password, or you can provide this other password. If it's same, just click on check button and you should be seeing everything here. So here is the summary of whatever you chose in the previous installation. So if everything is good, you can install, or else you can just go back and fix all those things. So here is the summary, and the installation process should be taking like a 20 to 25 minutes, depends on your PC and depends on the ISO file also. If it's a stable ISO file, it should be very quick, and you should be having installed on the hard disk or a virtual disk. So it should be more or less when you try to install. So it will be 20-25 minutes. So if it's a beta version or a development version, you should be having any issues in the installer. Normally it shouldn't be occurred, but in some cases there should be an issues. There are some issues, and there will be some bugs when you install in the beta version. But in this case, it's a stable ISO file. You should be good with everything. So we pretty much got everything, I guess. So let's check the home folder. Here is the file system. You can check the version, tuner file manager. You can edit, reference. You can customize according to your wish. You can choose the shortcuts. You can go to the folders and check all the files if you want. If you want to customize, you can customize those things too. So the mouse cursor isn't properly working for me, so that's the issue. So let me close it. So let's check the desktop backgrounds. Let's see what are the backgrounds we get in the Archman new Linux version. So these are all the same things from the previous version, so nothing changed. Menus, icons, here are wallpapers, here are desktop, here are backgrounds. So there are some folders here. If you want, you can do that on your own. So you can change the color, which is solid, and you can change according to your wish. So these are all the customization things, so no need to show everything here. About the panels, you get this version, and if you want the properties, here it is. And if you want to customize panel preference, here is appearance, items. Again, these are all the same things, so it's a waste of time to show everything. Date and time, short-term forecast, data unavailable. So here is the notification settings. Here are the updates. Let me open. Internet connection. Here is the clipboard, which is Clipman. Here is the powers. You can customize. Here are the notifications. Customize according to your wish. Here are the updates. Installed version. So let's scroll it. So the version and the updates are here. Updates are just 2 applications, and here are the installed applications. So you just need to scroll it. Just pause the video and read everything, or else you can just change the playback speed of in the YouTube settings, and you should be seeing everything in a slow-mo. Change it to 0.25 and you should be seeing everything in a slow-mo. So if you want to install, you can go with the browse and you can search right here. Let me type in like a VLC. So here we have a VLC. Let's check the Google Chrome. So Google Chrome is not available. Inkscape. So you just need to type in and you should be getting the applications. So it's already installed. So let's check the about. Archman version. Let me close it. Here is a software mode. Here is a install local packages. If you want, you can install. What else we left? Preference. Here is the preference. Customize according to your wish. Let me close it. So what else we left here? Let's make the stress test and end the video. So people who don't know what is stress test in my channel is basically opening like a 15 to 20 applications which consumes a lot of resources to see whether the Linux distro will handle their day-to-day tasks. So if we find any crashes or the applications crashes or anything like pop-ups like not responding and all those things, you can just judge that and whether to use that specific version or not. You can judge on those things. So you don't judge only on the stress test. You need to see whether the ISO file is stable ISO file or it's consuming a lot of system resources. You need to consider all the things and decide whether to use those Linux distro version or not, or else you can just go with the previous version ISO file, or you can just wait for the stable ISO files in the future. So that's the meaning of my videos, or that's the basic information you get from my video. So let me open a bit of resource consuming applications. So I forgot to show what are the pre-installed applications you get from the Archman Linux, so let me do that also. So in the settings you see all those settings, and in the accessories you get all those things. Under education, games, graphics, internet, multimedia, office, science, system, and about Xfce. You pretty much get all the content creation applications in this Linux distro. So there are a lot of bloatware applications. There are not a lot of bloatware applications. There are just a few which are useful for content creators. So that's the thoughts on this Linux distro. So I'm going to mention my final thoughts in the end of the video. So let's try to open and do the stress test. Let's open the GIMP. So we need like a bit of resource consuming applications. Let's open the GIMP. Let me open the Inkscape. So CPU went 100%, RAM is almost 1.8, 1.6 GB. So keep an eye on the CPU and RAM so you can judge whether to use this Linux distro or not, or the specific version or not. So this is a July version, so keep that in mind too. Let me open the graphics and let me open the Inkscape. So these are all the applications which consumes a bit of resource, so we can see any issue. So till now we didn't face any bugs or anything like that. We didn't saw any crashes or anything like that. Everything is working fine, but there is a bit of delay, so that's okay because we opened all the applications at once, so that will be some issue. So that's okay. That's a basic thing when you open a lot of applications at once, so you should be getting a bit of delay and a bit of lag. So we need to open all the applications, and if we didn't see any crashes or anything, so you can say it's a stable ISO file and stably useful for day-to-day tasks. So everything is still working properly, no issues till now. Let me switch the applications. After opening all the applications, we need to switch the applications to get the complete stress test done. So I think we are good with the applications. We pretty much opened all the heavy resource consuming applications, I guess. Let me even open this thing. So we are good. As you can see, CPU and RAM is almost 2.1 GB. So let's try to switch the applications and see whether we will see any crashes or anything like that. So everything is working smoothly, no lag or anything like that. I can switch the applications from beginning to end, from last to first, and even in the middle. Everything is working properly. So in this release, everything is fine, no lag, no crashes or anything like that. So it's clearly up to you to judge whether to use this Linux distro or not. So I showed the system resources, I showed the applications opened at once, and we didn't see any lag or anything. So you can judge whether to use this version or not. So I showed everything in this video. So I pretty much covered everything, and I'm going to check the about information and end the video. So we already saw the version in the Firefox. So let's check all the information. You get the 1.3.2 version of Inkscape. Let's close it. We get the 128 web browser. We already saw the Pacman version. Let's see the GIMP. Here is the version. Let me close it. Let's check the gparted version 1.6. Here is the version. I don't know what it's called, so I don't want to even go through all those things. Media player, you get the 4.18.1. Image viewer, here is the version. The pigeon manager, and here are some of the themes. Let's change the themes. High contrast, Nordic dark, Xarch shadow, Xarch white. So these are all the customization things, so you can customize according to your wish. Font settings. So I think we pretty much covered everything. Media player, let me close it. LibreOffice, let's check the version of the LibreOffice. Let's see what version we get. So 7.6.7.2. So I think we covered everything, I guess. Here is the pigeon manager, messenger. So at the end of the video, these are all the resources. Its CPU is almost 30%, under 30%. RAM is almost 1.3 GB of 7 GB. So everything is good with this Linux distro. So it's not any promotional or anything like that. So this is completely on my test. So everything is good. So it's clearly up to you to whether to use this Linux distro or not. So I'm going to end the video. So I already made a video which I already mentioned in the beginning of the video. So there is 2 Linux distros available today. You can just check that videos if you want. So let's check the logout screen and end the video. I don't want to save session. Let's see the logout screen and end the video. This is the logout screen. Here is the session. And let me. Thanks for watching.